Mars will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too.
안녕하세요. 깊이 있는 이야기를 취재하는 특종의 발견입니다. 트럼프 대통령이 가장 눈독을 들이고 있는 곳이 바로 그린란드입니다. 아메리카 대륙에서 가장 북극과 가까운 곳에 위치한 곳인데 트럼프가 이곳을 미국 영토로 만들겠다는 의지를 강력하게 표현하고 있습니다. 도대체 트럼프는 왜 이곳을 원하는 것일까요? 오늘은 트럼프 1기 정부에서 북극연구위원회 위원으로 그린란드 정책을 직접 설계했던 토마스 댄스와 단독 인터뷰를 통해 그 이유를 설명해 드리려고 합니다. First of all, how is the weather in Greenland right now? What brought you there?
Well, the weather is, well, it's early morning here, so early in terms of 7, but it's dark, right? So it's snowy, cold. It's a good January day in Greenland. The light comes up about 10 o'clock today, so it's winter in the Arctic. I came up with my group. Today is actually something for Chaplain's Day that we're doing a recognition, a commemoration of, and I'm getting ready to fly down to a former U.S. military base in south of Greenland today to commemorate that.
Donald Trump Jr. visited Greenland. What role did you play in this?
Side of it, I have a group, American Daybreak, which I run, and we work on U.S. Greenlandic relations and building understanding and helping people remember the history. Yes, we helped in terms of connecting the Trump family there, because this was a personal visit with people here who would be interested, and helped recommend the places they visited. And
why does President Trump believe it is necessary for the U.S. to acquire Greenland?
Sure, I think, well, I don't know about the word acquire, but he certainly has talked about a range of potential possibilities there, and I think everything's on the table. I think President Trump recognizes that the U.S. has an abiding and longstanding vital national security interest in Greenland, as it's part of North America and really the front door from our U.S. on the U.S. East Coast. Well, recall, this goes back to the geography. So Greenland is part of North America geographically, separate from Europe. It's always been that way, going back to the Monroe Doctrine, the realization for the U.S. back to the mid-1800s. The base at Itufik is the northernmost U.S. base, military base in the Arctic. So it provides a range of capabilities up there, both in the sky, in the sea, up in space, and that goes back to Cold War days when the evolution was even greater in terms of, but it's everything from presence to detection to command and control of telemetry and, satellite systems that are, a lot of the security infrastructure for the rest of the world pulls data, draws information from places like Itufik. So it's all integrated in a very complex system. Without a key piece like that, the whole system's jeopardized. So that's when President says it's vital for not just American national security interests, but for the entire free world. He's not exaggerating.
You are not going to use military or economic coercion.
No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security.
Do you think he would consider using military forces to annex Greenland?
I don't. I think some of this is at the far end of hypotheticals. I think that, attacking Greenland's nonsensical and on its face because it's the United States that defends Greenland in the first place. So we're here. In fact, I would say the opposite. If we weren't here and we hadn't been here continuously from May 1940, way before we were even in World War II. Remember, we didn't enter World War II until December 8th or December 9th rather of 1941. But Denmark fell to the Nazis on April 9th of 1940, and the U.S. responded immediately. Within 3 weeks, we had presence here, and we were defending the island. So we've never left.
미국에게는 지구 어느 나라도 극복하기 어려운 무력이라는 게 존재합니다. 그래서 미국이 사용할 수 있는 또는 사용할 수 있다고 으르렁거리는 것만으로도 무서운 효과를 가질 수 있는 그런 힘이 있는 것이죠.
And so I think Denmark realizes that it hasn't performed over the years to make Greenland secure. It's kind of free riding, if you will, on the U.S. umbrella. But we've gotten to a point where changes have occurred. Things have, the Russia conflict, the Ukraine-Russia war has jeopardized, U.S. security within the Arctic here. But also the evolving, changes in the climate, opening up new maritime routes and, a lot of potential contest for these routes coming from not just Russia, but China. That's the real kind of pacing threat. So we have to be eyes wide open about this. Today in Greenland, you could have what's really the largest war in Europe since World War II. The Danes nominally protecting Greenland, but with 4 patrol ships, which are over 30 years old, a few helicopters and dog sled patrols. That just, unfortunately, that is just not serious.
All right. Russia has been very active militarily in the Arctic. What kind of activities are they conducting?
It's no secret. They have something on the order of 60 icebreakers and 50 bases right across the Arctic. Their GLONASS system, you talk to some fishermen here in Greenland, they say, well, it's actually, in some respects, it's got better data than your GPS system does. So, there's a lot of data gathering. There's a lot of bathymetry, measurements, studying that they've done that they have the benefit of. Clearly on our other coast, Alaska, they've been pretty, I would say a little bit aggressive in terms of showing up and making themselves present. The U.S. needs to answer that, and we actually don't need to just play catch up. We need to assert ourselves a little bit. We have, if the Russians have 60 icebreakers, we have what I would say is 1.5. And I say a half icebreaker because it only works half the time. And remember, we need to cover not just the Arctic, but the Antarctic with those very limited resources. So we're in the process of building ships. They've been ordered, but this is part of what was a lackadaisical approach under the Biden administration that the Trump administration has picked up where it left off, but it does so at a full sprint.
We're going to order about 40 Coast Guard big icebreakers, big ones. And all of a sudden, Canada wants a piece of the deal. They say, why are we doing that? I mean, I like doing that if they're a state, but I don't like doing that if they're a nation. Also, they've been very nasty to us on trade.
In terms of icebreakers, President Trump recently announced plan to acquire 40 icebreakers. South Korea has world-class shipbuilding capabilities, especially in high-quality icebreakers. Do you think there is a way for South Korea to assist the U.S. in this sector?
Absolutely. Korea has are fantastic shipbuilders, and that can be deployed into any number of classes. So ice-capable vessels, icebreakers. That's a part of the conversation we'd have. Of course, part of what we have to recognize is that the U.S. is a maritime nation, and we've over the last 40 or 50 years, we've stopped building ships ourselves. So what we're really looking for as well is for the countries where we've outsourced this to kind of come back and help reestablish building in the United States. So we value the Koreans coming over as well and investing in the U.S. capabilities here. So I think there's partnership both ways. It needs to build to reestablish the shipbuilding sector in the United States, both for our military, call it the Navy and Arctic Fleet, which today is under the Coast Guard, but also very much for the merchant marine and the commercial sector too. So, and Korea could be a great partner in that. I think they definitely will be.
당장 그린란드를 미국이 접수한다 또는 다른 상황이 벌어진다 했을 때 우리는 자명하게 예측할 수 있는 것은 지금보다 훨씬 더 많은 쇄빙선이 필요할 거다. 그런 선박을 건조할 수 있는 기술은 전 지구에서 대한민국이 유일한 국가인 경우도 많아요. 미국 입장에서는 그런 쇄빙선 기술이 러시아나 다른 나라에 비해서 상당히 떨어지는 것이 그 현실적인 것이고요. 또 그런 것들을 만회하기 위해서 동맹국에게 요청을 할 수밖에 없을 것입니다. 그 중에서도 한국이 으뜸이다라고 생각할 수밖에 없을 거예요.
The Arctic shipping route is expected to significantly shorten global trade routes. How does the U.S. assess its importance?
Very important. Very important, crucial. The other geography that you see, and this is why I think President Trump's team is so phenomenal, and they understand it's not, there are many piece parts. Greenland's one. When we talk about making America great again, we look at what made America great in the first place. We were a maritime nation. We were one that had its vessels sailed the world, right? We traded since our very first days, even as a British colony. Today, we've got a $200+ billion blue water navy that keeps the world safe, sea lanes safe, and we aggressively protect them. But we have no merchant marine. We have hardly any U.S. flagged vessels.
There are claims that if the U.S. acquires Greenland and develops Arctic shipping routes, South Korea's major ports could play a crucial role. Do you agree?
I think so. Look, this is tying the U.S. East Coast market on closer to Asia. Is something that's going to benefit both parties. So eventually, we have to recognize that traffic can't move across Arctic waterways and faster paths to Asia.
중국이나 한국이나 일본에서 유럽으로 물건을 보낸다고 했을 때 우리가 감내해야 되는 여러 가지 비용과 에너지들을 계산해 보면 이건 뭐 비교할 수가 없을 정도로 북극 항로가 빠릅니다. 그리고 또 한 가지는 소말리아나 말라카 해협에 이렇게 있는 해적들이 북극 항로에는 없겠죠. 이 기존의 항로는 적도를 지나야 되기 때문에 물건이 훼손되거나 손상되는 경우가 상당히 많습니다. 그런데 북극 항로는 자연스러운 냉동실이기 때문에 그런 위험이 상당히 줄죠.
China reportedly attempted to fund major infrastructure projects such as airports in Greenland as part of its Belt and Road Initiative. Why is the U.S. concerned about this?
I think it's the same, it is a concern. You quite rightly highlight it. It wasn't only in Greenland, it was in many places around the world, and they continue to do so today. And that's the Chinese expressing their national interest very aggressively around the globe. at some points they're really in opposition to the U.S. and ours and the free world.
Public opinion polls suggest that Greenlanders desire independence more than integration into the U.S. Do you think a referendum on independence is possible?
Whether they decide to pursue it or not, it's really up to the Greenlanders now. Now there are elections which are coming up too. By April 6th, I think they'll be determinative in terms of, the Greenlanders' choice. I don't know whether the referendum will be held at that time or it might at a date in the future, but I think this is a very it's the moment here for Greenlanders to decide how, what they would like for their future and to kind of to stand up and really have that conversation.
지금 그린란드의 인구가 5만 6천 명 정도 되는데 이들 인구는 상당히 적은 숫자죠. 그래서 어떤 작은 불씨로 태도가 이렇게 바뀔 가능성은 충분히 있습니다. 덴마크 정부가 원주민들에게 문명의 길로 들어오라라고 좋게 표현하지만 사실상 덴마크의 통제 아래에 놓이게 하려는 노력도 많이 했습니다. 원주민들에게 주는 그 영향력 또는 어떤 위협감은 대단한 것이죠. 그래서 그들 입장에서 봤을 때는 그런 것들이 아픈 기억으로 많이 남아 있을 겁니다.
트럼프 대통령은 그린란드를 미국의 사활적인 이해가 걸린 중요한 곳으로 인식하고 있습니다. 그의 영토 확장 계획은 우리 안보와 경제에도 직간접적으로 적지 않은 영향을 미칠 것으로 예상됩니다. 오늘 특종의 발견은 여기까지입니다.